Hey everyone, welcome back to video 4 of the Zig series. So, if you haven't subscribed to channel yet, it's time now. So, in video 3 we learned about functions and error handling. If you missed it, go watch that first because we are built on it today. Today we are covering memory and allocators. This is one of the most important topics in the whole series and one of the things that makes Zig genuinely different from most languages. It might feel a bit abstract at first, but I will try to take it step by step. Let's get into it. And please like the video to support my channel. Thank you so much. So, stack versus heap. What is the difference? Before we talk about Zig specifically, we need to understand the two places a program can store data in memory, the stack and the heap. The stack is fast and simple. Every time you call a function, Zig sets aside a chunk of memory on the stack for that function local variables. When the function returns, that memory is automatically released. The key rule: the size of everything on the stack must be known at the compile time. You cannot have a stack variable whose size is exceeded when the program is running. The heap is a bit different. The heap is a large region of memory that your program can request from the operating system at runtime. You can ask for exactly how much memory you want or you need at the moment when you actually need it. The downside: you are responsible for telling the OS when you are done with that memory. If you forgot, that's a memory leak and it stays allocated and unused, and over time that can exhaust available RAM. Now we go to the next slide. Why Zig uses explicit allocators. Most languages hide the memory allocation from you. For example, if you use a new keyword in C++, you know that the heap memory allocation hides behind the new keyword. Now, Python and JavaScript use garbage collector. Memory is allocated behind the scenes and garbage collector periodically clean up what is no longer used. Convenient, right? But you get unpredictable pauses and no visibility when the allocation is happening. Similarly, C and C++ also do it with malloc and new and uses the free keyword to basically disallocate the memory. Powerful but easy to get wrong, and you definitely can forget to free the memory and have a leak. Free twice and you have a crash. Zig completely takes a different approach. No allocation happens behind your back. If a function needs to allocate heap memory, it must receive an allocator as a parameter. You, the caller, decided to use which allocator you want to use. This means you always know when the heap memory is being used and you allocated it and whose job is to free it. The practical benefits are significant. You can swap the allocator to test your code with a special leak detecting allocator. You can use a fast arena allocator for short-lived work and a general purpose allocator for a long-lived data. And then there is no garbage collection pauses ever. Let's go to slide 4. An allocator in Zig share the same interface, std.mem.Allocator. This means you can write a function that can take an allocator and it works with any allocator that passes in. The two main methods you will use here are alloc and the free. Let's see some example. So const buffer try allocator.alloc is the alloc method example, while differ allocator.free is the free method. We always pair our free with differ because in the last video I told you that differ always run after the function execute. So let's go a bit more into detail and see what they do. Firstly, alloc. Request 100 bytes of heap memory. The first argument is the type and the U8 means like bytes here, and the second is the count. Returns basically a U8 slice on the success or an error out of memory on failure. Because if we fail, that's why we use try. Similarly, the differs returns the memory when the function is p. Notice, as I told you, we are using differ. We write the cleanup right next to the allocation so we never accidentally forget it. This is a Zig item for memory management. I'm sorry, I thought about network management. Now, do we have something else here? We have few more things, but we can discuss it later. Let's go to the debug allocator. Free destroy create. Yeah, okay, I didn't explain you create, right? So for allocating a single item instead of slice, or you can use create and destroy. You can see them in the end of the slides. Basically, create allocates one uint32 and returns a pointer to it. When you need a single heap allocated value, like not a bytes of array. Similarly, destroy, what it does, it free a single value like a uint32 or a float32, but not like a slice of array. So these are the two things which I wanted to explain. And now we can move to the debug allocator. Debug allocator is an allocator type which uses most of the memory during development, and it detects memory leak and use after free bugs. And yeah, so I actually wanted to type it out for you. So you can see the code here. If you want to do that yourself, you can obviously do it, but I would like to try this out in my Visual Studio. So let's move to the Visual Studio, and we have to know that as we are going to error, we are going to put this in front of the void. Let's save it where GPA std.heap, and we are going to use a debug allocator, which basically debug allocator, and we are going to use this syntax dot my options and then equal to dot init. You can tell me in the comment section why you are seeing this a red line in below the GPA. Then we write differ equal to GPA dot dinit. Const allocator equal to GPA dot allocator. You need to use brackets here, and const buffer try allocator. You can allocate anything. I'm trying to just use 10 right now. Differ dot allocator the free buffer, and std dot debug print, and instead of this we can write allocated Zig here. Allocated Zig. So this is the code. This is a very small code that we wrote. Let me explain what it does. Firstly, you are using the dot init and the debug allocator. It declares a debug allocator, and the syntax, basically this one which I was telling, passes an empty configuration struct like a sensible default. The init basically is the initialization syntax. Differ is basically used for deinitializationing it, because this you want to run at the end of your code. And similarly use GPA allocator to get a std.mem.Allocator interface. This is what you pass to the functions. The allocator variable is how all your codes talk to the underlying debug allocator. Now let's run this code. To run this, we know we do use Zig run src. Okay, so first we need to go into hello Zig, then we go Zig run src main.zig. It is running, it is building, you say allocated Zig. So now this is a very small code to explain you the debug allocator. Let's move to the arena allocator. The arena allocator is the second allocator you will reach for very frequently when you use Zig. The idea is very simple. You allocate as many times as you want and free everything at once with a single dinit call. If you want, we can also try to write this code. I can delete this out. If you don't want to go through the code, you can always skip ahead. You can always go back to my slides to basically see how we are going to use this. And so we are going to use this, and then we say differ arena dint const allocator arena.allocator const a equal to try allocator this, and then const b try allocator u820, and then colon equal to a, and this equal to b. So this is pretty simple, right? And we can just run this will combine. So it says no name allocator.find. Yes, because we forgot to write the brackets here. And then you can, this will compile fine. And this we are doing A and B because you're declaring the variables. If you don't use it, it will throw an error. But what you are doing here is that with a single allocator, you can assign it multiple times. Like you can use A and B as well. The syntax actually pretty much explains themselves. The only syntax which I will explain to you, this one here is basically it's like another allocator which requests memory directly from the OS. The Arena manages multiple smaller allocations on top of it. So the Arena allocator is actually very idle for message request handling. Sorry, not message handling. Parsers or any other situation where you create a bunch of data that all lives and dies together. Parse a config, use the data, and then call a dinit. Everything gone at once. Now we go of passing allocators into function. Let us put this all together with a key Zig pattern. Functions that needs to allocate takes a allocate parameter. Now, how we will build that? So let's check with this, or I will go to my back. I can go to my DebugAllocator. So I'm just going back to my code which I deleted so that I can go back to my DebugAllocator which I already created, and this is fine. So let's see fn build greeting allocator, which will take a std.mem.Allocator. I don't need to put a pointer in front of it right now, and it can also take a name which will be const uint8, and then it returns just uint8. It doesn't return anything else. uint8. Okay, and then we say we don't need to write so much stuff here. We just say return std.format alloc print allocator hello string, and then we just add a name. Perfect. Now here we create a debug allocator. We basically finish it. We try to get the memory from the allocator. We don't need to put a reference, otherwise we have to pass a pointer if we are doing that. And now basically what we do is that instead of this we say const greeting. Here we are. Here we say const greeting, try build greeting. We pass the allocator here and then pass Zig into it. So ultimately it should print hello Zig. Then we defer the allocated greeting message because we always say that we want to defer it, and then you can just put any kind of thing here, and just we are using printing here. Okay, now let's run this code. So you see hello Zig. How does this happen? We get the debug allocator, and we get the basically we create a debug allocator, initialize it, obviously defer the deinitialization part, get the allocator from it, pass into a function. As I told you, every allocator will be of type std.mem.Allocator. If you put a reference here, then you have to put a pointer in the reference, otherwise you can just pass the allocator. We pass a name called Zig, and basically we create a string from here which is called alloc print pass allocator because it will put the memory into the heap, create a string called hello Zig, and then you obviously free the allocator, which will also happen in the end because of the defer, and then we just print it. Really easy, right? So this is the perfect example how do you pass an allocator into a function. Now we go to fixed buffer allocator. One more allocator worth knowing is called fixed buffer allocator. This one doesn't use heap at all. It allocates from a fixed array on stack. So what you do here is that in the first thing you create a 1028 array equal to undefined. It is basically a 1 kilobyte of array, and this is actual backing storage for all allocation. Undefined means all the bytes are uninitialized and we do not pay to zero them. Then you basically use the second thing called fixed buffer allocator here, wraps the buffer. Oh, I can use the pen, right? So let me use the laser pen, and then so basically this fixed buffer allocator here wraps the buffer in an allocator interface. So now you are not using the heap memory, but you are using the buffer that we initialized earlier. And basically we get the array. So and whenever we try to ask for the memory, we are going to get the memory from this buffer. And once the whole thing is like finished and we try to get the more memory, it will just say out of memory. So fixed buffer allocator is ideal for embedded targets in my scope of work. Basically, where we have fixed memory, we usually have free RTOS or no OS running, and we don't want to create a heap, or we don't want to get a memory from the operating system because there can be no operating system as well. So what we do is that we create fixed memory regions where we want to get the memory from, and here this is a very useful thing for me. It is also great for unit tests when you want a simple allocator with no setup. And it is useful when you know your max memory requirements in advance and want a predictable behavior. Next thing is that how Zig catches memory leak. Let me show you how the DebugAllocator catches a memory leak so you know what to look for. So we can go into the code, and basically here we can say if instead of this, now what we do is that we do const check, and if check equal to dot leak, then we something called print out of memory, and something means you can do that. You can also like create a panic or situation or something like that. Now we go this, try to allocate like we can forget about this right now. We can delete this as well because we don't need this, and we have an allocator, right? We do const buff, and then we use just to ignore that. Now you see one thing which I haven't done here is that I haven't called the free, and I'm not going to do this. Okay, I will run the program, and then basically in an enum check. Okay, that's okay. I don't need this anyway. So I'm going to run the program, and currently it is not printing anything. The reason why it is not printing anything here is that because I think the program is running. Let me control C. Let me see why it is not printing anything. Actually, it should print here something. So instead of this, maybe let me do something else and create a panic here. Maybe that would help us. Okay, and we do initialize it with a debug structure, and then check is equal to leak. That is correct. We create the panic. We do allocate allocator called GPAllocator. We create a buffer to try to allocate the memory, and maybe let's increase the memory to 100 maybe, and then we basically use the buffer. Definitely we are forgetting free this, and that is fine. It should be cached. That's strange. Maybe this is an error in my code. I will try to find this error, and maybe I will explain you in the next video that why we are not able to do this. But anyway, something is getting stuck, maybe because of the buffer thing or something, and that's why we are not able to basically run the thing. Or I did something wrong. But anyway, I will find this out and I will explain you in the next video. But till then, thank you so much for watching this video, and have a nice day.